Shocking truth, when Dad arrived at 3 a.m., his little girl's cry changed everything forever. The clock ticked ominously in the stillness of the night, barely echoing through the dark house. Then, a piercing scream shattered the silence, a sound that no father could ever forget. It was the kind of sound that wormed its way into your bones, chilling you straight to the marrow. As he turned the key in the lock, Nathan's heart raced, uncertainty gnawing at him. What could cause such terror? Nothing could prepare him for what lay ahead. He burst through the door, breathless, eyes darting to every shadow. The air felt thick, almost tangible, with something unspoken. The hallway was cloaked in darkness, save for a sliver of light creeping out from the slightly ajar door of his daughter's room. Fear clutched at his throat. He could already hear the quiet sniffs of her sobbing, each moan cutting deeper, pressing on his chest like a weight. The atmosphere crackled with an eerie energy, a sign that everything was about to change. As Nathan stepped closer, his daughter's whispers penetrated the shadows. No, no, no. It was a heartbreaking mantra, laced with desperation. He could see her curled up in bed, tiny hands gripping the sheets like they were a lifeline. A chill unfurled within him, but he pushed it down and opened the door fully. "Emma, sweetheart." Then came the gasp. The kind of breath that signifies realization or panic. Emma's eyes widened, reflecting something otherworldly. "Daddy, there's someone here," she cried, trembling, her little body shaking like a leaf in a storm. The words tumbled from her lips with an urgency that made the hair on Nathan's arms stand upright. Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The room felt colder now, the shadows creeping closer as if they were alive, drawing in tight. Nathan's pulse pounded in his ears. "What do you mean, someone?" He glanced around, eyes scanning every corner, heart thundering in his chest like a warning bell. Emma pointed, her little finger trembling. "In the closet." "Daddy, please." And just like that, a twist gripped his stomach. Was it just her imagination? Or had she seen something? He took a hesitant step toward the closet, dread coiling tightly within him. What lay behind that door? His pulse quickened, sweat trickling down his back. He reached for the handle, heart racing, the air thick with tension, the kind you could cut with a knife. Just then, there came a low creak, and another gasp slipped from Emma's lips. They stood together, frozen, simply breathing, knowing that soon, the truth would tumble out. What awaited them behind that door could change everything. Would Nathan be strong enough to face it? And what had Emma seen that filled her with such fear? The handle felt icy cold beneath Nathan's fingers. With every moment, the weight of his daughter's fear seemed to press down harder. The darkness inside the closet felt alive, pulsing like a heartbeat. He turned to Emma, her eyes wide with terror. "Stay here. I'll check," he reassured her, trying to mask his own unease. She nodded but squeezed her eyes shut, silently pleading for the nightmare to end. Nathan hesitated again, heart racing, breath hitching. What could possibly be lurking behind that door? With a firm grip, he twisted the handle and pulled it open. Light from the room spilled in, revealing a chaotic jumble of clothes and toys, but nothing moved. He squinted into the grainy shadows, tension humming through the air. "Hello?" he called, his voice shaking. Silence responded, thick and oppressive. Just as he was about to close the door, something caught his eye. An old, dusty doll lay on the floor, face down, half buried in the shadows. He frowned and stepped closer. He recognized the doll. It was Emma's favorite, a gift from his late wife. The sight of it twisted his stomach with unease. How had it ended up here? "Emma." Nathan called out softly. Is this your doll? Emma peered over his shoulder, trembling. That's Lily. But it was on my bed. I don't remember dropping it. Her small voice trembled as she backed up, fear radiating from her like heat. Daddy, it can't be Lily wouldn't be here by herself. Nathan's heart sank, and every instinct screamed at him to get out of the room. He turned slowly, scanning the corners, hoping to find nothing. The shadows seemed to wiggle, morphing like dark tendrils trailing from unseen shapes. He shut the closet door, the creak echoing through the stillness, suddenly feeling the weight of something unseen. Sweetheart, let us go downstairs, he suggested, trying to sound calm but failing. Emma nodded, glancing behind them nervously. As they made their way back into the hallway, a chill swept through the air. It wasn't the usual night chill. This felt different, charged. Nathan's protective instincts kicked in. He held Emma's hand tightly as they descended the staircase like two tightrope walkers balancing over a dizzying gap. Suddenly, a soft thump echoed from the living room. Nathan froze, his heart thudding wildly. Did you hear that? He whispered, pressing his finger to his lips. Emma nodded, her eyes wide. Slowly, Nathan moved to the adjoining room, every step slow and deliberate. The atmosphere thickened with tension, and he gritted his teeth against the fear creeping into his thoughts. What if it was something more than just the wind? With a deep breath, he pushed the door slightly ajar and peeked in. The living room lay shadowy and calm, typical of the quiet house, but his instincts screamed of danger. Just then, he noticed something on the coffee table. It was a note, its edges worn and crinkled, almost appearing ghostly in the dim light. Taking a step inside, he felt Emma's grip tighten on his leg. The note beckoned him like a siren, whispering secrets he was both terrified and desperate to uncover. With trembling hands, he picked it up and read aloud, I see you, and I want to play. Cold terror slithered down his spine. Who was watching them? And what kind of game was this? As he scanned the room for any signs, an icy breeze swept through, extinguishing the lamp and plunging them into darkness. Emma screamed, and Nathan reacted immediately, throwing his arms around her. Daddy! She cried, clinging tightly, her voice high and broken. Just then, a strange noise came from the bedroom, and Nathan knew the nightmare was just beginning. What unseen force loomed behind their walls? And what were they truly up against? With his heart pounding, Nathan rushed to protect his daughter, knowing that their lives were about to change in ways he could never have imagined. Nathan's heart raced as he redirected his focus toward the darkened hallway, the air thick with dread. With Emma trembling against him, he could feel her small body shake, her fear radiating like heat from a snuffed-out flame. The shadows seemed to shift and swirl, pressing in closer, making it hard to breathe. Stay close, he whispered, forcing his voice to remain steady, even as the darkness around them felt alive and hostile. He heard it again, soft, almost muffled, but unmistakable. A tentative giggle echoed from the bedroom, a sound that struck him like lightning. It was so innocent, so wrong, amidst the growing wave of terror. Did you hear that? He stammered, eyes darting toward the sliver of light illuminating the bedroom door. Emma nodded, her grip tightening painfully around his leg. Daddy, I don't want to go in there. Her tiny voice quivered, breaking his heart. But Nathan couldn't let her down. I know, Emma. But we have to see what's going on, he said, forcing courage into his voice. He stepped forward, feeling as if he were on the edge of consciousness, teetering between reality and some nightmare just waiting to swallow them whole. With every inch closer to the bedroom door, the air became thicker, the sounds of their soft breathing replaced by a sluggish silence, like the calm before a storm. The giggles echoed again, this time more discernible. Play with me, it sang, sweet and haunting. Suddenly, Nathan's instincts kicked in. No! He shouted, a surge of adrenaline pumping through him. He swung the door open, and the warmth of the hallway flooded the stark, cold room. Before him stood the bed, blankets ruffled as if someone had just rolled out. Toys scattered across the floor, looking eerily vibrant against the dull background. And then he saw her, a child similar in size to Emma. Her back was turned, golden curls framing her small silhouette. Lily? Emma whispered, the name barely escaping her lips. Nathan's breath caught. This couldn't be happening. The doll they had just seen, the one that Emma had adored, was now stalking them, transformed into a girl no more than 6 years old. He took a cautious step inside, his heart hammering against his ribcage. "Why are you in my room?" he demanded, trying to maintain authority despite the quivering in his voice. The child turned slowly, revealing a face that looked eerily familiar. "Because I wanted to play." Her eyes glinted like shards of glass, reflecting the looming shadows. "Emma doesn't want to play with me anymore." Emma took a step back, clutching her father's waistband, confusion morphing into fear. "But I'm not playing," she protested, her small voice thick with emotion. The little girl tilted her head, the smile stretching unnaturally across her face. "You will, or else." The air grew colder, and Nathan's mind raced. He could feel the shift in the atmosphere, the sense that this was no ordinary encounter. He couldn't shake the thought, what did "or else" mean? Suddenly, the temperature dropped further, and the shadows appeared to close in tighter, snuffing out the light as if it had never existed. Darkness swallowed the room entirely, and Nathan reached for Emma, ready to pull her away from whatever nightmare threatened them. "Run!" he shouted, but just as he turned, he felt something tugging at his shirt, a small hand gripping him tightly, refusing to let go. Fear clawed at his chest, and for a fleeting moment, he hesitated. They had to escape, but what of the girl? What was she? Was she a warning or a promise? Just then, a chilling whisper slithered in his ear, "You can't leave, not yet." As the walls seemed to pulse, encroaching upon them, Nathan braced himself. They had entered a story far darker than any he could have imagined. What awaited them on the other side of that door? And could he save Emma before it was too late? Nathan's heart threatened to burst as he grabbed Emma by the shoulders, his eyes darting between the darkness that loomed and the small figure of the mysterious child. The giggles transformed into something more menacing, like echoes of lost souls trapped in anguish. "Daddy!" Emma's voice cracked, her fear twisting within him like a knife. She was just a child. How could he protect her against the unknown? "Stay behind me," he commanded, but the tremor in his voice betrayed him. Uncertainty clawed at his insides as he felt the icy grip of dread seeping through the walls. "Where do you think you're going?" the little girl asked sweetly, her innocent appearance stark against the malicious nature of her tone. "You can't just leave. We're going to have so much fun together." The words danced in the air, chilling Nathan to the bone. He glanced back at Emma, who was trembling like a leaf in a storm. There was an instinct within every fiber of his being that told him to flee, yet the curiosity of this dark game was overwhelming. "Fun?" he repeated, forcing a twisted smile. "What kind of fun?" "I have games." The girl bounced on her toes, her eyes gleaming. "Games that will never end." Nathan's stomach churned as shadows whispered and crept closer. "What do you mean by that?" Desperation coated his voice now. "Just play your part, Daddy." She clapped her hands, and a low laugh escaped her lips, echoing around the room like it was bouncing off the walls. "You don't want to disappoint Emma, do you? She loves to play." Emma shrank further behind him, her small fingers digging into his jeans. "I don't want to play with you," she cried, panic spilling from her words. "Oh, but you will, or else I might get sad." The girl's smile widened more deeply, revealing tiny, sharp teeth that glinted in the dim light. "Emma, come on. We have to go." Nathan thrust his arm backward, hoping to guide his daughter to safety, but the girl immediately blocked their exit, her demeanor shifting from playful to predatory. "No one leaves until the game is over," she sang, her voice rising in pitch. Nathan felt his heart thud unevenly, an urgency surging through his veins. "We're not playing anything," he yelled, adrenaline fueling his words as he inched toward his daughter, preparing to pull her away. The room shook as the shadows grew furious, dancing like the flames of a funeral pyre. The air thickened, a paralyzing pressure bearing down around them. "You'll regret that," the girl hissed. "You think you can just take her away?" "No, Daddy. I get to keep her forever." A desperate instinct surged within Nathan. Fear ignited like wildfire. "Emma, we have to push past her. On the count of 3, we go. I won't let you." The girl screeched, her face twisting into a grotesque mask of rage. Nathan braced himself, feeling the weight of the unseen forces around them. 1, 2, 3. He lunged forward, yanking Emma's hand as he sprinted for the door. But it slammed shut with a thunderous boom, the force sending them tumbled to the floor. "You can't escape." The girl shrieked, her laughter a haunting melody against the chaos. Nathan scrambled to his feet, pulling Emma with him, panic racing through him. "We need a different way out." He threw his gaze around the room, searching for anything beyond fear that could be used to their advantage. But just as hope sparked within him, he heard it again, the rasping whisper, so close it tickled the hairs on his neck. "You can't leave, this is your forever." Every instinct screamed at him to find an exit and fast. But as he looked back at the girl, he saw something terrifying and all too familiar reflected in her eyes. What if she was more than just a child? Before he could process the thought, the door rattled against an unseen force. Shadows coiled around them, tightening like a vice. "Daddy, I'm scared," Emma cried, her voice breaking. "Hold on tight," Nathan yelled, pulling Emma close, feeling the weight of their situation crush down harder than he could have imagined, and then came the sound, a loud crack, like thunder splitting the night. The bedroom walls began to shift. Like something was pressing against them from the outside. What kind of nightmare had they stumbled into? "Let us see if you're really willing to play," the girl taunted, her demeanor flickering back to that innocent guise. The world around Nathan spiraled, and he felt time stretch and contract like a violent wave. If this was a game, he had to figure out the rules fast because their lives depended on it. How far was he willing to go to save his daughter? And what horror awaited if he failed? Nathan felt his heartbeat thundering in his ears, drowning out everything else. The walls closed in, the whispers growing louder, echoing in a language he could not understand. He fought the growing despair, fearing that if he allowed it to seep in, they would be lost. "Emma, stay close," he urged, feeling the warmth of her small body trembling against him. He scanned the room, desperately searching for a way to escape this twisted nightmare. The little girl bounced from side to side, her laughter bubbling like a taunting brook, a maddening sound in the midst of chaos. "Why don't you just join us?" she cooed, her voice sweet yet laced with a dark undercurrent. "We can play forever." Illustrations of lost hope flashed in Nathan's mind, endless corridors, endless games, an eternity stripped of freedom. "No!" he shouted, his voice breaking through the layers of dreadful whispers. "We're leaving." As if summoned by his defiance, the shadows lunged, swirling around them in a black tempest. Nathan squeezed Emma's hand tighter as the girl smiled wider, her sharp teeth dangerously glinting in the wan light. "You're not going anywhere." She giggled, and in that moment, the very air crackled with a tangible energy, throwing Nathan and Emma against the wall. The oppressive force restrained him, and the shadows twisted, seeking purchase on their limbs. "Emma!" Nathan cried out, seeing her flail within the engulfing darkness. With a feral roar, he thrust himself forward, summoning every ounce of strength. He felt the shadows tighten like a noose, but didn't he relent. He lured the girl's attention, his voice steady despite the chaos swirling around them. "What do you want?" Those words hung in the air, and the girl's laughter faltered, her sharp eyes narrowing. "I want you to play my game." The joy faded from her face, replaced by an expression so sinister it curled Nathan's stomach. "What kind of game?" he asked cautiously, the desperation in his voice barely concealed. "Your very own salvation." she sang, gesturing grandly with a flourish that sent a wave of darkness lapping at their feet. Find the hidden keys. Only then can you win and take your darling home. Keys? Nathan echoed, feeling a flicker of hope amidst sheer terror. Where are they? In your mind. The girl's voice cut through him like ice. They're memories. Sweet, lovely memories that keep you warm inside. He clenched his fist, remembering the moments with Emma the first time she rode a bike, her joyous giggles that filled the living room. Get out of our heads. He bellowed, anger overpowering fear. Not until you play. Let me in, Daddy. The girl's voice morphed, echoing memories of laughter that twisted into tears. Or I'll take the little one and play without you. No. He shouted, his heart racing. There was no choice. To save Emma, he had to play. Time to start. She whispered, her tone sultry and chilling. The shadows drew closer until they barely left a space for light, swirling like an abyss. Remember, Daddy. Choose wisely. One wrong move, and you could lose more than just a game. As the darkness began to shift, Nathan felt a pull, a force coaxing him back to forgotten memories, a mixture of warmth tinged with despair. What happens if I don't find the keys? He asked, already knowing the answer. Then you'll never leave, she giggled, the sound echoing ominously in the room. And neither will she. A cold sweat covered Nathan, realization dawning. He had to face his past, the memories he buried deep. Was he ready to confront them? Each second dragged, threatening to echo into eternity. The shadows began swirling with harsher intensity, and he felt the fabric of reality bend around him. Time is ticking, the girl taunted, her smile spreading wider still. Will you play, Daddy? And as those final words hung in the air, Nathan knew ignorance wasn't an option. He had to unleash the truth hidden within him before it consumed them both. But what memories would he have to confront to save his daughter? And would they emerge unscathed, or would darkness claim them in its insatiable grasp? The shadows pulsed like a living thing, breathing darkness into Nathan's very soul. Anxiety gripped him as the girl's chilling smile widened, her face illuminated by an otherworldly glow. In the swirling mass around them, Nathan could feel his memories fluttering just out of reach, beckoning him to confront what he'd buried for years. Think back, Daddy, the girl purred, her tone dripping with mock sweetness. To the day you lost her. Images surged through Nathan's mind, bright, swirling colors flickered like failing lights. He tried to force them away, but they crashed into him like waves. A sunny park, laughter echoing around him. Emma, tiny and perfect, running with wind-blown hair, her eyes wide with delight. And then, the abrupt silence. The dark tunnel of the hospital, the hushed whispers, the familiar smell of antiseptics hanging heavy in the air. No. Nathan roared, shaking his head, trying to dislodge the memories as if they were shadows themselves. This was the very moment he had tried to forget. The day everything changed, when the world he knew shattered around him. He felt a grim pressure building in his chest, choking the hope he clung to. Let us play a different game, the girl suggested, her voice insidiously playful as she darted closer. Your favorite memory, Daddy. But you must cast away the fear. It's just you and your little princess. Looking down at Emma, he saw her staring up at him, eyes shining with innocence and confusion. Her essence was trapped in the shadows, and he knew he had to fight. Emma, listen to me. I'm going to keep you safe. No matter what. Play, Daddy. She echoed the girl, her tone eerily matching. Play with me, or she goes away forever. The walls around them shook as the shadows writhed, crawling toward Nathan like hungry tendrils. Fine. He gritted his teeth, anger flooding his veins. I'll play your damn game. With those words, the darkness exploded into a kaleidoscope of vivid moments, birthday parties, family vacations, first days of school. Each memory glittered, pulling him in, urging him to select. Nathan stumbled into one, grabbing onto the image of Emma's first bike ride. He could hear her laughter ringing as she careened through the park, unsteady but so free. "Good choice, Daddy." The girl cackled, and Nathan felt the warmth of that memory wrapping around him like a protective blanket. For a moment, hope flickered, then the laughter cut off, slipping into a deep silence, like a record scratching to a halt. The shadows withdrew, and Nathan felt the ground shift beneath him. "What's happening?" he yelled, uncertainty creeping in. "Choose again." The girl's voice warped, dark and twisted, as if the memory itself was unraveling. "But make no mistake. One wrong turn and your sweet Emma is lost to me." Panic surged as he scanned the haunting void around them. "The keys, where are the keys? Time. The clock is ticking," the girl taunted, her laughter echoing through the suffocating darkness. "You must remember, or the game will take everything." Each second was a dagger, twisting deeper as the girl's wicked grin silently promised despair. He had to find another memory, another key, but which one would lead him through this labyrinth of shadows without losing Emma? In that blur of frantic searching, a glimmer caught his eye, a memory of Emma nestled in his lap, her tiny fingers clutching a well-loved teddy bear. He took a breath, ready to grasp it, but the girl's laughter rang in the air, sinister and delighted. "Such choices, Daddy. Just remember, playtime is nearly over." With that, the darkness shook violently, and he realized that each memory carried consequences. What if there were truths he wasn't ready to face? Would the next choice save Emma, or would it plunge them deeper into the shadowy abyss? As the weight of those questions pressed upon him, Nathan felt time clawing at his sanity. What was hidden behind the next door of memory? What awaited him if he turned the key? There was no going back. He had to press forward, but would he unearth the truth, or unleash a horror so profound, it could shatter them both? Nathan's heart pounded like a drum in a wild parade, an echoing reminder of fear and desperation. The shadows twitched, reaching out to him, each tendril curling with sinister intent. He had to keep Emma safe, but the dark girl's laughter gnawed at his resolve. Time felt slippery, and every heartbeat counted down that he took another breath, focusing on that warm memory, the teddy bear, Emma's laughter. Grasping for it, he felt the world quiver in response. He was pulled into a realm where colors erupted, radiant and vibrant. The familiar contours of his daughter's room materialized, bathed in soft pastels, sunlight filtering through curtains adorned with playful animal prints. Emma sat cross-legged on the floor, her teddy bear clutched tightly, her other hand reaching out to grab a crayon. She was drawing, and with each stroke on the paper, Nathan saw herself as a shimmering figure in the corner of the room, a mere observer of this moment. "Daddy! Look!" Emma's voice rang gently through the air, full of joy and innocence. The room was alive, filled with the scent of freshly drawn colors. It was a magical instant, untouched by the haunting shadows outside, but just as he took a step forward, reveling in her laughter, Nathan watched in horror as the colors began to fade. The sunlight dimmed, replaced by creeping darkness. The girl's laughter twisted, warping the sweetness of Emma's giggles into a sound that pierced him like ice. "Remember, Daddy," the girl crooned. "You can't stay here forever. One choice. One moment. You have to decide. What will you sacrifice?" A chill swept over Nathan. The shadows pressed back in, forcing their way through the edges of the memory like hungry wolves. He felt their icy grasp tugging at him, clamoring for his fears. No. Nathan fought against the tide of desperation. He would not lose Emma again. He reached into the depths of his memory, grasping at another moment, the first time he taught her to tie her shoes. The sensation of those little fingers fumbling, the determination in her eyes, the way her spirit lit up with pride, that he focused hard, pulling that memory into vivid clarity. "Emma, let's get you ready for school. Remember how you did it? You can do this." He forced down the clenching fear in his chest, hoping to wrap that moment around them like armor. The shadows faltered, hesitant against the radiant joy of the memory he had summoned. "Choose. But what will remain? What will be lost? The girl sang, her voice ringing like shards of glass. Nothing. I choose all of it. Nathan shouted defiantly, and with that declaration, an explosion of light shot forth, illuminating the room with boundless warmth. But the girl only laughed, and the colors began to swirl violently, transforming into a tempest of confusion. The shadows roared back, whispering chilling secrets. Wrong choice, Daddy. She howled, and Nathan felt the walls closing in around him. The cheerful room spiraled into darkness, and Emma's laughter morphed into dissonant echoes. What do you want from me? He cried, panic clawing at him. Face the truth. The darkness knows your fears. The girl shrieked, and suddenly, the shadows unveiled a doorway, a breach into forgotten territory. Nathan's breath caught in his throat as he recognized the outline of a memory he had deliberately avoided. A hospital corridor, sterile and cold. Hushed voices, the hum of fluorescent lights flickering overhead. He hesitated, fear flooding his veins. The memories grew louder, a heart monitor beeping sporadically, a doctor's grim voice, and the sound of devastating silence. Open it. The girl screeched. Face what you've been avoiding. Heart racing, Nathan stood before that doorway. Would he step through, unearth the voices locked within, and confront the truth he had all but buried? Or would he lose Emma forever to the shadows? The darkness quivered, waiting for his move. With a shuddering breath, Nathan made his choice. He would confront that door, but what awaited him on the other side? In the shadows, fear and hope collided, hanging in the balance like a thread about to snap. Nathan pushed the door open, the creaking sound breaking the suffocating silence. As he stepped through, a rush of cold air enveloped him, its chill biting into his skin. The corridor stretched infinitely, drab and lifeless, with flickering lights casting eerie shadows. Each heartbeat hammered in his ears, drowning out the distant echo of a child's laughter no longer Emma's. His breath hung shallow, tinged with desperation. He could feel the weight of unspoken words pressing down on him, the remorse of choices made all too apparent. The beeping of heart monitors echoed louder with each step, each pulse a reminder of what he had failed to protect. Why did I come here? He whispered, panic bubbling within him. I need to go back. But the shadows danced, drawing him onward, as if compelled by some unseen force that he turned a corner, and memories hit him like a tidal wave. Images flashed, ghostly apparitions of the past, him sitting in a sterile waiting room, Emma's small hand trembling in his. The bright fluorescent lights felt hotter then, grilling him under scrutiny as doctors murmured grim news. Their faces twisted in pity, their words washed over him like water in a storm. Please stop. Nathan murmured, gripping his head as though he could physically ward off the memories. He stumbled forward, searching for a refuge, any escape from this agonizing reminder of loss. Yet, the shadows didn't relent. He needs to see the truth. The girl's laughter twisted through the air, bouncing off the walls and settling into Nathan's bones. It was a mental torment, like an insidious echo he couldn't silence. Find her. A voice barked from the depths of his mind, relentless. Find what you lost. Nathan pushed forward, urgency rising in him like a flame, until he reached a door at the end of the corridor. It stood ajar, and a faint glow beckoned him in. He peered into the room, and the scene that unfolded paralyzed him. Emma was there, lying in a hospital bed, hooked up to machines. The beeping that had haunted him merged with her labored breaths. She looked fragile, her small frame barely stirring under the stark white sheets. Nathan stumbled into the room, fear cutting him like a knife. Emma! He gasped, rushing to her side, but grasping nothing but air. His hand passed through her, a chilling reality that threatened to shatter him. She didn't notice him. She was lost in her own world, a captive to her slumber, impossible distance between them. Then, the room shifted, morphing into different dimensions. Shadows spun around him, whispering accusations, questions that clawed at his psyche. Did you fail her then? One hissed. You could have saved her. Another taunted. I tried. Nathan shouted, his voice cracking under the weight of guilt. I tried. But the words fell flat, countered by the harsh truth unraveling around him. You could have done more. The dark girl appeared again, standing behind him. Her eyes sparkled with malevolent delight. When are you going to learn that you can't run from yourself? You're not just facing shadows, you're facing your own failures. With that pronouncement, the walls trembled, and the ground shifted beneath him. Nathan's mind raced, thoughts crashing against each other like waves in a storm. What if a new thought flickered in his mind like a fragile spark? What if I can change this? He turned back to Emma, eyes filled with a mixture of hope and desperation. But was it too late? Could he wrestle back control from a fate that felt so final? Suddenly, a new voice echoed through his memories, strong and clear. Don't give up, Daddy. I'm waiting for you. Heart racing, Nathan faced the culmination of his fears and desires. Emma's voice cut through the darkness. It ignited something in him, a beacon of tenacity that demanded to be heard. The shadows shuddered, recoiling in the face of that light, but what if the cost was higher than he could pay? As he reached for the shimmering doorway back to her, Nathan knew he was about to stumble onto a revelation that would encompass more than just him or Emma, an explosive truth that could alter everything he believed. Was he prepared to face it? With the specter of his past lurking behind him, uncertainty gripped him like a vice. The answer lay just beyond him, shrouded in darkness and daring. As the shadows morphed, he took a step forward, determined to grasp at whatever it might mean for them both. Nathan felt a surge of energy course through him as he approached that shimmering doorway, the air around him electric with anticipation. With each step, the shadows writhed and twisted, desperate to hold him back. They didn't want him to reach that truth. They thrived on his fear. But he wouldn't let them win. Emma! He shouted, voice echoing through the corridor. The walls vibrated as if responding to his cry. I'm coming for you. As he moved closer, the glow intensified, pushing back the shadows. The flickering bulbs above him blinked frantically, as if they were on the brink of extinguishing completely. Nathan hesitated at the threshold, uncertainty clawing at his insides. What awaited him on the other side? He stepped through, the light engulfing him, momentarily blinding his vision. With a blink, the brightness faded, revealing a scene that sent daggers through his heart. He was back in that sterile hospital room, but this time, the machines were dark and silent. Emma was gone. The bed was empty. No panic seized him, forcing his breath to quicken. No. His voice broke, echoing the despair in his heart. He spun around, frantically searching for any sign of her. Emma! Where are you? A chilling wind cascaded through the room, carrying the faint sound of her laughter, tantalizingly close yet painfully out of reach. It flowed through the air, wrapping around him, beckoning him to follow, to seek. He stumbled toward the source of the sound, the cold air grazing his skin as if the world around him was alive, teasing him with the possibility of hope. But deep down, fear gnawed at him. What if this was just another cruel trick of the shadow-dwelling demons, feeding on his desperation? Stop playing games. He shouted, but the laughter intensified, wrapping around him like a warm embrace, igniting a flicker of longing buried beneath layers of guilt and remorse. Nathan's heart pounded like a drum as he trudged forward, every step fueled by a fierce urgency. He reached a door, its surface splintered yet surprisingly inviting. Clutching the handle, he hesitated, considering. What if he wasn't ready for what lay beyond? Just before he turned the knob, a voice whispered from behind. You really think you can save her? He spun around. The dark girl stood there, eyes glimmering with a knowing smirk. She's lost, Nathan. You can't turn back time. I won't accept that. He growled back, resolve surging. I won't let go of my daughter. With adrenaline filtering through him, Nathan twisted the knob and pushed the door open, stepping into a new reality that it was a garden, thick with fog, yet vibrant with life. Flowers bloomed, reaching toward the sky, and the air smelled sweet with possibility. But within that beauty loomed a shadow far larger than he imagined. Voice after voice whispered his failures, echoing through the mist, feeding on his doubt. You can't protect her if you can't even protect yourself. But then he heard it again, clear as day. Daddy! The cry sent a jolt through him. Nathan spun, eyes wide with hope, and in the distance saw a figure. Small and familiar, with sandy hair tumbling over her eyes, Emma stood at the center of a clearing. I'm here. He shouted, heart surging. But as he ran toward her, the ground shifted beneath him, splitting open like a wound. Darkness bled out, tendrils of shadow reaching for him with an insatiable hunger. Emma! He cried, desperate and frantic. Her face twisted in fear as she started to fade, dissolving into mist. Dad, help me. No. His voice thundered through the lush garden, countering the darkness. Nathan felt the shadows constrict around him, squeezing the breath from his lungs, but he couldn't back down. Not now. Not ever. Hold on. He yelled, fighting against the pull of despair. He couldn't let the shadows win. He wouldn't let her go. With a final surge of determination, Nathan dove forward, stretching his arms as far as they could reach, determined to grasp her hand before it slipped away forever. But just as he lunged to seize her, the ground quaked violently, the shadows culminating in a deafening roar. What lay beyond this confrontation? Would he reclaim his daughter, or would he be swallowed whole by the darkness? The very air felt charged with potent energy, awaiting the decisive moment when everything would change. Nathan's body flew forward, propelled by an instinct stronger than fear. He could see Emma now, her eyes wide and pleading, but shadows whipped around her, turning her from solid warmth into a hazy figure. Hold on, baby! Nathan shouted, the desperate urgency clawing at his throat. I'm coming. The ground trembled beneath him, groaning as though it shared the anxious weight of this moment. The shadows thrashed, trying to ensnare him, but Nathan pushed through the oppressive darkness that threatened to consume him. He felt the biting cold on his skin, but nothing could stop the fierce resolve surging through him. Don't you dare vanish! He cried, his voice breaking as he reached for Emma. All around, darkness snarled like a wounded animal, and the laughter of that twisted girl echoed in the murky depths. But the sound was just noise. He had only one focus, Emma. In a moment that felt like eternity, he stretched out his hand. Their fingers brushed, and warmth soared through him like the first hint of spring after a brutal winter. The shadows seemed to recoil, a tangible wave of fear flickering through their grasping tendrils as Emma's small fingers wrapped around his. Got you! Nathan breathed, pulling her toward him. The shadows screamed, a cacophony of loss and fury, swirling around them like a storm tearing through trees. But Nathan would not let go. Together, they fought against the tide, and as he drew Emma closer, he saw clarity in her eyes, a flicker of hope intertwining with joy. Daddy, please, let us go. She whimpered, tears shimmering in those beautiful blue eyes that reminded him of the bright sky. Trust me, he whispered tightly, a new strength igniting within his chest. The shadows screeched louder, like sirens of despair, but Nathan held firm. You can't keep us. He felt their power waning beneath the warmth of his love. With one final push, he yanked Emma free, and in that electric moment, the darkness erupted, dissolving into a cloud of smoke that dispersed into nothingness. The air cleared, the garden transformed into sunlight flooding through, the heavy shadows dwindled into mere wisps of memory. Nathan fell to his knees, clutching Emma tightly against him, heart roaring with gratitude and relief. Daddy! She laughed, her voice ringing with the sweetest sound he'd ever known. She pulled back, her arms around his neck. I knew you'd come for me. His heart swelled with emotions too heavy for words. They weren't just safe, they had battled the darkness together and won. Nathan laid his forehead against hers, their breaths calm and connected. I will always come for you, Emma. No matter what. You're my everything, he replied, his voice trembling with the weight of love, but just then, the memory of that dark girl flickered in his mind, the reminder of the battle they fought. He started, but Emma cut him off. Come on, Daddy. Let us go home. Nathan stood, pulling Emma's hand in his. They walked together, back towards the other end of the garden. A soft breeze greeted them and the once heavily shadowed corners of his heart began to lighten. They emerged into a warmth that felt like coming home, a sanctuary away from the darkness that had faced them. Each step felt like a victory, and he knew, deep down, they had proven that love conquers all, even evils buried deep in the past. As they stepped out into the bright sunlight, Nathan glanced down at Emma. Always remember, whatever shadows you face, we will face them together. Emma beamed at him, her spirit unbroken. Together, they walked towards the horizon, where hope shimmered brightly, unbreakable and full of promise. So here they were, hand in hand. It was time to turn the page, start anew, heal the wounds. The shadows would no longer hold dominion over them. As they disappeared into the day's embrace, the garden behind them faded away, but the love they carried clung fiercely. Now, dear friends, if you felt the tension of their struggle, if you resonated with their journey, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now, join this amazing community, and don't miss out on more heart-pounding stories. Smash that like button now, it really feeds the algorithm and helps us grow. Flood the comments section, tell us how you felt about this ending and share your theories. And please, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Together, let us keep this channel alive and thriving. Don't wait even one more second.